This video is about how to find the right composition when the weather conditions don't turn out the way you thought they would. Unfortunately, the sky is very grey and this entire area is devoid of interesting light. So I thought coming here after the last disappointment with the incredible weather report of a lot of fog in those white fields, I was really hyped and I was really looking forward to coming back here again, but unfortunately I don't think I'll take a nice picture today. The initial idea was telling you guys that if you can't find a nice composition, just come back later and finish the video with an interesting conclusion, but I came back later and I'm still disappointed from the current conditions, and instead of whining, I seized the opportunity out in the field in order to find nice compositions for the next time I'm here. And I realized that my compositions turned out to be a little bit more complicated than I usually like to, and with this idea in my head, I am going to find a nice, simple composition, which means not as many subjects, a clean background. I try to prevent the picture from being too cluttered, so less is more, and I'm going to show you the berg I want to take a picture of. While this tree looks like the obvious shot, I'm trying to make a different point. Over there are two bergs that are standing out, and if you are looking for a composition, you are basically looking for something that stands out and take a picture of that. You think about stuff like what is unique about the current situation, and the uniqueness of the current situation is that there are many trees with different colored leaves, and it is interesting, but I don't think it's the best shot to take right now. And over there are two bergs, and there are bergs that are really standing out because they look different from their surroundings. There's deep green grass in front of it, there are green trees next, left and right to it, but instead of talking about it, I'm going to show it to you. But I definitely need a longer lens in order to reach it. And the thing I'm going to talk about is parallax scrolling, or however you like to call it, because in landscape photography sometimes you'll want to move stuff, and you can't really move a tree and you can't really move a mountain, but you can shift your perspective, and if you shift your perspective, the relative position of the subjects to each other shifts with it. So I am currently on my 70 to 300 millimeter lens, and I'm going to show you what my camera sees. I start recording. I need to increase the ISO a little bit, but I'm currently at 70 millimeters. The interesting part is there are two distinct trees that are in the center of my frame. And if I turn my zoom lens and go to about 200 millimeters, I isolated the subjects because now it's just those trees and there's nothing left on the frame. And while I am still under the impression that those two distinct trees are interesting, they are not isolated enough, and I can go to the right because to the right there I have no vision to those trees. I go to the left and therefore the distance between those trees is going to shrink, and I simply reduce the subjects to single subjects instead of two. I move my position to the left about 5 meters and my camera is only seeing a single tree now. So because I wanted to go for a simpler image, I wanted to reduce the amount of subjects. Now I only have a single subject in the frame. And if I zoom and zoom and zoom and zoom, I'm at 200 millimeters. It's a nice and simple and boring composition, but the point I made should be pretty clear. I move my position, and due to parallax scrolling, I changed the position of the subjects and composed an image I wanted to compose. So this is the composition I came up with, just to take a picture to show you guys. This is I go for a center composition. I try to get equal distance on the top, on the bottom, on the left and the right, and I'm going for a balance in the composition. While light isn't on the menu today, this whole exercise is about finding the right composition. And after checking my map application, I'm currently facing northeast. So during the sunrise, this should be nice because of the colored sky. And during the sunset, this should be nice because of a front-lit tree. And even during the golden hour, this should be a nice place to just check out. So next time I'm here, I'm definitely going to check out this tree. Finally, at least a few colors, a little bit of autumn in the leaves. And when I'm scouting and I'm looking for compositions and I'm looking for pictures to take, I always ask myself, what is unique about this current situation? And if you take a closer look to this white branch surrounded by the reddish, orange, yellowish leaves, I think there might be a picture there. So I'm going to show you what my camera sees and whether or not I'm going to take a picture. I cheated a bit and looked through my video camera and figured out that about 50-ish millimeters would be a nice composition because I'm currently very close to those trees. Instead of going for my 70 to 300, I'm going straight to my 2875 because I think this would be the better choice. Okay, I changed my lens and now I'm currently at my 2875 and this is what my camera sees. So I'm at 28 millimeters, I'm going to about 50 millimeters and while this composition stands out due to color, I think it's still lacking light and I don't think it's going to be a nice picture. I am a little bit desperate because those trees are looking beautiful and the lack of proper light maddens me because I really would love to go for this basic landscape photography shot, but instead of being sad about not having the condition you were looking for, you have to think about what kind of pictures you can take during the current conditions. And while I cheated and I thought that 50 millimeters would be the right shot, I'm going to show you what my camera sees. And I am currently at 70 millimeters and I switched my lens already. I'm with my 70 to 300 millimeter lens and now I'm zooming in all the way to 300 millimeters. And while I was focusing on the branch, on the big stem of the tree, I realized that this texture is oddly satisfying and very beautiful. So I am trying to go for something different and just take a picture of the white stem surrounded by the colored leaves of the tree behind it. While I'm here, I am trying to figure out something completely different and I'm using my ND filter to go for a long exposure of the leaves, and I try to open up my aperture to get a blurry background, but the distance from the leaves to the stem is too shallow in order to get a nice bokeh. My idea was that everything is a little bit blurry and dreamy, and the tree stem is very sharp as a contrast. So since I have no interesting light, I try to go for an interesting contrast in the image. I use my ND filter and I try to go for a 2-second exposure and hope for the best. Maybe it doesn't work out, but since I'm here and I like to try stuff while I'm in scouting mode, I rather take the shot and fail than not trying it. This idea came to me while I was focusing on the branch in the middle and it looked interesting. So now I have to do a quick math. I am currently at a 100th of a second, but I am at ISO 400 and this is something I don't need because I want to be slow, so I don't need to increase the shutter. The picture is evenly exposed at 1/25th of a second. So now I go for 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Das sind 3 Stops. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I need to increase my shutter speed by around 6 stops. So I got a 6-stop ND filter, and I basically hope for the best. Okay, this picture might be a little bit forced, but I still had fun doing it. And maybe it looks nice. I'm going to surprise myself. There was a gust of wind and the leaves were moving while I was taking an exposure show. So everything should work out as intended. And I hope you like this picture. I'm going to head back to the main road and figure something out on the way back to my car. Finally, there's some light. I even have to dial down the ND a bit. I found a nice tree that is illuminated by the light. The background is still illuminated by the light. There's a little bit of shadow in the foreground, but show, don't tell. Okay, this is what my camera is seeing. The interesting part is the dark branch that is tangling its way to the left part of the frame. I cut heavily into the tree in order to don't have to fill the entire frame with the boring background. There's shadow in the front as a contrast to the bright background, and I'm quite happy with the composition in general. And while I was complaining the entire day about not having enough light, I'm finally having an interesting exposed image. And the conditions are fleeting. I already took the picture and it was a little bit more vibrant than it is now, but I can't wait to find another shot on the way back to my car. This swamp really catched my eye because of the black water and this dominant black tree in the background, and I'm hoping I can find a composition to declutter everything. And when I take a look at this scene, I think the shot might be somewhere between 50 to 125 millimeters. I tried to include the swamp in the foreground and use the black tree as my main subject, so there's only one way to find out whether or not there's a shot here. I found the nicest composition here, and with 90 millimeters and f8, I think with some focus stacks, like 5 exposures, everything should be fine, and I can't wait to show you what my camera is seeing. When I use my 28 to 75 millimeter lens, the scene looks exactly like this, and if I zoom in to, let's say, 50 millimeters, this should be the crop of my final image, if I can show it to you in post. And the thing I tried to achieve was that the yellow tree in the background and the black tree in the foreground are equally far away from the border, so they have the same sense of space to breathe, so to speak. And therefore I tried to go for a balanced, nearly symmetrical image. The issue I was having was that if I zoom in to 75 millimeters, you see that on the left there's a branch obstructing the view on the yellow tree. And now you have 2 possibilities. You can hope to fix it in post or do it right in camera. And in order to do it right in camera, I just needed to move my camera a little bit to the right and a little bit to the front. If we go to the right, then there's another tree in front of my view, obstructing the interesting tree with the mushrooms. And if I go too far to the right, then the yellow tree in the background is behind the tree with the mushrooms. So I had to figure out the correct space in order to achieve my final composition. And the correct space would be a few steps ahead. and it would look exactly like this. This was the final position of my camera, and now you can see that there's enough space between the tree on the far left and the yellow tree in the background. And if you take a closer look, there are branches in the foreground I could have used, but if I use the branches in the foreground, then the interesting part of the black tree, namely the mushrooms sprouting out of the black tree, wouldn't get enough real estate in the final composition. So while this is an interesting image within itself, I went for a way tighter crop, something like this. Today was great. I got up at 5 o'clock, drove here, and currently it's 13 o'clock and I had a blast. When I arrived here, I was very ambitious and I got lured here by the forecast of immense fog all over this field. And imagine how great everything would have looked if there were fog. But fog isn't duct tape in photography, and even without fog and even without light, you can still scout, you can still compose, and you can still take great pictures. Because the picture I took today were a lot of fun to do. I did a little small case study about parallax scrolling. I used my ND filter for long time exposure in woodland photography, which is something I've never did before, and I found a nice swamp. And I even got lucky and got a nice composition when there was light for 10 minutes or so. So that being said, I had a lot of fun and I can't wait to get out again. I have no idea where to go next, but I know one thing for sure: I still have to cut the video and upload the video, because currently it's Wednesday and tomorrow at 18 o'clock I still need to upload a video in order to feed the almighty algorithm. And like my videos, if you like my videos, you can post in the comments which picture you like the most, and you can subscribe to my channel if you want to get notified when I upload the next video. And I still need to get back to my car, which is a 2.2 kilometer ride, and I still need to drive home, which is an hour drive with my car. So I had lots of fun and I can't wait to see you guys again. Bye.